from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station. You get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Okay, I mean, that's an insane statement. What she is talking about there is essentially a fascist jackboot tactic. Yeah, I'm going to read you a section from a great 3-volume history of Nazi Germany. Now, again, I'm not saying that she is a Nazi. I'm saying this is a Nazi tactic, okay? It is a Nazi tactic to say that you're going to get a bunch of people together and you're going to go harass public officials when they stop at a gas station. Okay, that I'm not saying she's a Nazi. Again, I'm not saying her policies are Nazi policies. I'm saying this is a brown shirt tactic because it is a far closer tactic to brown shirtism than anything that Trump has done at the southern border, including arresting people and then by dint of Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals rulings separating kids from parents. I'm going to explain in a second why I am not being shy about using a Nazi analogy here, because I think that Nazi analogies are appropriate when you can actually make the historical reference point. So when Maxine Waters says that people should get out at gas stations and they should shout, "No peace, no sleep, no peace, no sleep." And when she says that in a department store, at a gas station, you get out and you create a crowd and you push back on them and you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere, you tell people they're not welcome in public life, that is, in fact, a fascist tactic. Okay, that tactic is, again, I'm going to say it for the 30th time. I'm not saying that Maxine Waters is a Nazi. I am saying that this is a Nazi tactic. Okay, this is a fascist tactic. There are people who argue that fascism is only the government that's coming in and using force to compel you to obey the government. That's the only definition of fascism. What I'm talking about here is a philosophically, culturally fascist tactic, and that is destroying the social fabric in the name of politics by destroying every public space and using violent means to shut them down, right? Antifa shutting down speeches, that's a fascist tactic, and this is a fascist tactic too. This is a section from Richard Evans's book, The Coming of the Third Reich, considering the treatment of Social Democrat Reichstag Deputy Otto Buckwitz in Silesia. Here's what it says. Brown shirts, this is in 1931, before the Nazis took power. So for those who say that Nazism you can only say Nazi once somebody's in power in the government, that's just not true. The Nazis existed before they were in power in the government. Here's what it says. Brown shirts occupied the seats at his meetings, shouted insults at him, and on one occasion fired a shot at him, causing mass panic amongst his listeners and leading to a brawl in which more shots were fired by both stormtroopers and Reichsbannermen. Several Nazis and Social Democrats had to be taken to the hospital, and not a single table or chair in the hall was left intact. Here we go. This is the part that's interesting. After this, gangs of 8 to 10 Nazi stormtroopers harassed Buckwitz outside his house when he left for work in the morning. 20 or more crowded around him when he came back to his office after lunch, and between 1 and 200 hassled him on his way home, singing a specially composed song with the words, "When the revolvers are shot, Buckwitz will cop the lot." Nazi demonstrators always halted outside his house, chanting "Death to Buckwitz." Okay, so harassing people outside their homes, bullying them from gas stations, bullying them from restaurants, these public confrontations over politics, these are a serious and dangerous business. So here is the basic rule for a civilized society. You have the right to refuse service to anyone you choose. Yes, that applies to Red Hen. You have the right to criticize that restaurant. You have the right to protest any public official in a public setting. You do not have the right to invade someone else's property, to harass someone dining in a public place, or to harass people at their homes, as with Christian Nielsen. Waters' approach is way worse than what happened at the Red Hen. What Waters did is way worse than what happened to Sarah Huckabee Sanders at the Red Hen. And every Democrat should be asked on the record today what Maxine Waters said about what Maxine Waters said. They should be asked whether they agree with Maxine Waters' tactics here, whether they think that that is something that is half decent. Because I promise you, if this were a Republican, they'd be asked every single time, right? When President Trump said that at his rallies, that he said at one of his rallies, that if somebody punched a protester, that he'd pay for their legal defense bill, every Republican in the country got asked about it. And that was wrong. Trump shouldn't have said that. Will any Democrat be asked today about Maxine Waters' comments? If not, it just demonstrates once again why you can't trust the media.